Hi everybody, welcome back to, well, the ROG Ally Z1 Non-Extreme with SteamOS installed. How cool is this? You may well have seen my previous video where I talk about the pros and cons of installing SteamOS on your Windows device and your ROG Ally in particular. And I know for me, it's really brought this little handheld PC back to life because I was kind of using the Steam Deck most of the time, because what would happen is I'd fire up my ROG Ally and normally there would be a Windows update that would need doing, and I would be like, oh, and it would have to restart, and I'd be like, oh, so I just put it down, and then I would either play on my PC, my gaming PC, or I'd fire up my Xbox, or I'd fire up the Steam Deck, you know. And I've got to admit, some of that was my fault because I wouldn't play with the ROG Ally that often. I think with all of these devices, with handheld devices, and with PCs and laptops, and with all of them, because there's so many updates, you do have to play with them regularly, don't you? You do have to turn them on so that it can download the updates, not only for things like the OS, but also for things like games. However, the way that Windows seems to handle it on a handheld device, Windows 11, always would get in the way. I think maybe it's because normally when you fire up your gaming PC, if there's an update to do, you can do something else, can't you, while you're waiting for it to finish? You can browse the web, or you can watch some Netflix, or watch some Amazon Prime or something like that. Where with your handheld gaming PC, you're picking it up because you want to play a game, and if you can't play it straight away, then it's a bit of a pain. And SteamOS tends to handle updates, I think, a little bit better. In fact, let me turn my Steam Deck on actually in the background. However, we do have things like you can see here, where Resident Evil 2 is taking a while to download some, or processing some Vulkan shaders. The idea with being able to have a shader cache and share shader caches between devices that are not only on the same network, but also in the cloud as well, is that long term, if you've got a really good internet connection, it should make things faster. The other thing that I do as well is I make sure that when I fire up a game on my ROG Ally Z1 Non-Extreme using SteamOS, I will go into the graphics settings, and I don't use this screen at its full capabilities. I don't use it at 1080p, 120 frames a second. I take it back to 720p, and I tend to run it at 60 frames a second. And one of the big bonuses for the ROG Ally, these ROG Ally early versions, is the fact that they have this variable refresh rate screen, which means that even low frame rates look better. Oh, wrong button. Because it can match the frame rate output of the game to the screen, whereas the Steam Deck can't do that. It's fixed, it kind of fixed rates. So what I thought we'd do, just to kind of give you a little taste. I know this is a little, in fact, this probably looks a little bit dark. Let's turn the brightness all the way up. Okay. And let's just have a bit of a, yeah, it is a bit dark, this, isn't it? Well, I'm not quite sure how we're going to, let me just talk about my experiences. So, this is Resident Evil 2 Remake, absolutely fantastic game. We're getting a steady 60 frames a second out of this. It looks really, really nice. So it's a beautiful game anyway. And I just wanted to show you, the smoothness actually, and it's difficult to show this on a YouTube video. Don't know whether you can see that. One thing we are sacrificing as well, of course, by installing SteamOS is that it becomes much more difficult to install things like mods, because we're based running on Linux or Linux. But the big advantage of SteamOS, well, one of the big advantages is it's a lot less resource heavy. So not only does it start up a lot quicker, but you'll get more performance out of your Z1 Non-Extreme. You'll get more even things like storage as well, because the OS isn't taking up quite so much room, especially if, like me, oh, we've taken his head off, haven't we? You've had the dreaded SD card fry situation, which this one definitely did, where I put I had a I think I had a gigabyte micro SD card in the top, and then because of the way the design is, in fact, all the heat comes out the top. Well, I guess that's the reason. It ended up frying that SD card, so it's not like I'm going to ever put a new SD card in there. Nice headshot there, Claire. Well done. Battery life seems to be about the same. Battery life was never brilliant, really, on the ROG Ally. It helps the fact that... There we go. Maybe you see a little bit more. Oh, she's a bit wounded, isn't she, our Claire? But that is so smooth. Honestly, the variable refresh rate screen is absolutely amazing. It really is. But anyway, that is a quick taster of playing a game on the ROG Ally. In fact, we can come out of here, can't we? We'll go back to there on the ROG Ally with SteamOS installed. I just wanted to give you just to show you that it definitely does work, and in my experience, it does work better, and games do run better on the ROG Ally Z1 Non-Extreme with SteamOS. However, you do have to bear in mind that because this is not Windows, there's quite a few games now that you won't be able to play. Normally ones that have got some sort of anti-cheat, say like PUBG, Call of Duty, Fortnite, I think, because they don't like Linux, and SteamOS is based on Linux. But I think if you've got a ROG Ally hanging around that maybe you don't play very much anymore, because you're like, oh, I don't really like Windows, definitely think about doing this. Install SteamOS on it. I'll put a link in the description below this video to the webpage that shows you how to do it, because it is relatively easy. You just need a USB stick to download the image, and then you can crack on. But there we go. ROG Ally Z1 Non-Extreme running Resident Evil 2 Remake. Looks great, feels great, and well worth doing. That's enough for me. What do you think, though? Put your questions and comments down below, and I'll see you again soon.